All right, here we go. So as said right in the beginning of the classwork, you need a piece of paper and a pencil to take down these notes. Now, here we go. The CFS that I have is actually going to be breaking down per question to help you actually solve the problem. Okay, so example 1, it says the scale factor of the side lengths of rectangle A to rectangle B is 60%. What percent of the area of rectangle A is the area of rectangle B? This is the question technically that we need to solve. But what I'm going to do is actually break it up because there's a lot of steps to actually solving this problem. So the first step in the CFS is find the area of the initial image. The initial image here is A, right? Because it's saying that the side length is from rectangle A to rectangle B, so A is the initial image. So you actually don't need to write anything here. We're going to scroll down to part 1. Part 1 says, what is the area of rectangle A? Now, what I want you to do is, right now, you could pause the video and actually write down the problem. I have rectangle A here and rectangle B. Rectangle A has a width of 6 inches, a length of 2 inches. And if I want to find the area of these rectangles, all you have to do is literally multiply the length times the width. And so the area of this rectangle would be 2, and it's called square inches. And that's the unit for area because you're multiplying by 2 dimensions. And so here we're going to click 12. Did I say 2? It's 12 square inches. Okay, next, what is 60% as a decimal? And the reason why we're going over this is because it's telling me that the scale factor is 60%, and I know that I'm going to need to convert that into a decimal. And so 60% is obviously 60 hundredths because 60% is 60 out of 100, but it's also equivalent to 6 tenths. Remember in class we would change 0.60 to 0.6. That's because 60 hundredths is equivalent to 6 tenths. So remember, this one's a little bit tricky. On the independent practice, you are going to have to choose 2 answers here. All right, we're going to move on. The scale factor of the side length of rectangle A to rectangle B is 60%. What are the dimensions of rectangle B if the scale factor is 60%? So, if the scale factor is 60% on the bottom, I'm going to put scale factor here, and what I know is that the side lengths are going to be smaller. So we know 60%. 60% means 60 out of 100. And we know that's 60 hundredths, which is the same as 0.6. Okay, now the reason why also I'm having you take down notes is because you have a quiz tomorrow and it's open notes, so you would be able to actually use this. So if the scale factor is 60% from A to B, that means that the side lengths here are obviously getting smaller because it's less than 100%. And all you're going to need to do is find 60% of 6 inches and find 60% of 2 inches. And to find a percent of a number, you just multiply. So this would be 6 times 0.6, 6 tenths, and 2 times 6 tenths. So here, if I have 6 times 6 tenths, I'm just going to do 6 times 6, and that's going to be 36. But there's one number behind the decimal, so that would be 3.6 inches. 2 times 0.6, or 6 tenths. First, I'm going to just multiply. 2 times 6 is 12, but there's one number behind the decimal, and that would be 1.2 inches. Okay, so here, we're going to put 3.6 and 1.2. Okay, now, knowing the dimensions of rectangle B, what is the area? Okay, so remember, the area of a rectangle is length times width. We found it for rectangle A. Now we're going to find it for rectangle B. And all you do is multiply. So we're going to do 3.6 inches times 1.2 inches, and because we don't got time right now, I'm just going to use my calculator, And we have, whoops, not that, 3.6 times 1.2, should be like 4 point, yep. And this would give me 4.32 square inches. Cool. So now we found the area of rectangle B. Awesome. Okay. Now, here is where now we're going to answer the question. If you notice, like we did all of these steps are to answer this question right here. The scale factor of the side lengths of rectangle A to rectangle B is 60%. What percent of the area, which is tricky, right? Because we actually had to find the area of that rectangle. We had to change the dimensions, find the dimensions of both of rectangle B, and now we have to compare the two areas. So what percent of the area of rectangle A is the area of rectangle B? Because rectangle A is bigger, we just want to figure out basically what percent of that actually is rectangle B. So what we want to do is divide both of them together. So if I want to find basically what percent of B is A, we're going to do 4.32. So the area of rectangle B, and we're going to divide it with the area of inches of rectangle A. And remember, technically all it's asking you is the scale factor for both of the areas, right? Because we said it's always the final image. So we're doing the area of the final image compared to the area of the initial image. So a lot of work. And the reason why it's so much easier right now is because we literally did all of these steps to end up finding the area of both of them. And so I'm going to divide 4.32 divided by 12, and that gives me 36 hundredths. So we're going to do 36 hundredths, and we want to figure out as a percent, so we're going to multiply that by 100, and that would give me 36%. So here we're going to do 36%, which means that rectangle B is 36% of rectangle A. That's all it's asking. So now we're going to press next. And do not forget, as many times as I could put this, take a picture of your notes and then you're going to send it to me. Thank you.